The Elder Scrolls isn't your classic fantasy. Behind the familiar images of elves, dragons, and empires lies a complex metaphysical system. There is no single objective history here. The world is built on the principle of the unreliable narrator. Every book, legend, or line of dialogue is just someone's subjective version of events. At the heart of creation is the idea of the dream. Reality is the dream of a nameless entity, the Godhead. Grasping this truth leads to one of two outcomes: achieving godlike power or vanishing through zero-summing, when a person realizes their own illusory nature and erases themselves from existence. Therefore, the central conflict of the universe isn't a struggle between good and evil, but a debate over the very meaning of existence. Some seek to escape the mortal world as if it were a prison. Others see it as a gift and a path to apotheosis. This philosophical chasm is the true source of the wars, intrigues, and fallen empires of Tamriel. In the beginning, there was nothing but two forces: Anu, the embodiment of unchanging order, and Padome, the spirit of eternal chaos and change. Their interplay gave birth to the first spirits, the Aedra, but they were just ideas, without form or purpose. And then, Lorkhan, the divine rebel, a spark of Padome, stepped onto the stage. He came to the other spirits with a grand plan to create a mortal world, Mundus, an arena where spirits could define themselves through limitation, through pain, joy, life, and death. He promised them a world full of potential, but the price was unthinkable. To create something finite, they, the infinite, would have to sacrifice a part of their very essence. The Aedra, they became the bones, blood, and laws of the new world. Akatosh became time, Kinnereth the sky, Mara became love. They wove themselves into the fabric of Mundus and, having given up their power, fell into an eternal slumber. They are the martyrs of creation, whose sleeping bodies we see in the night sky as planets, bleeding starlight from the wounds Magnus inflicted when he fled. The Daedra refused. They saw Lorkhan's plan as a trap, a cage for the divine spirit. Preserving their power, they retreated into the void of oblivion and created their own realms, reflecting their nature. They aren't evil, they're absolute. When the Aedra realized they were trapped in their own creation, they were filled with fury. They accused Lorkhan of deceit. At the very center of creation, atop the adamantine tower, they ripped out his vibrant heart and flung it into the world. Where it fell, a volcano erupted, Red Mountain, and Lorkhan himself was sundered, his sundered body becoming the two moons, Maser and Secunda, forever haunting the world he created and was executed for. The world of the Elder Scrolls was born not from love, but from betrayal, sacrifice, and grief. And this original sin poisons it to this day. The reality of Mundus is an unstable construct. To keep it from dissolving back into chaos, the Aedra created the towers, metaphysical anchors that pin down the laws of physics. Each tower has its stone, a focus that broadcasts its stabilizing energy. Destroying a tower isn't just leveling a building, it's like pulling the nails from the foundation of reality. The existence of these towers is key to understanding current politics. The radical elves of the Thalmor don't just want to conquer the world. Their ultimate goal is to deactivate all the towers. They believe this will shatter the prison of Mundus and allow elven souls to return to their divine, immortal state. They're waging a war not for territory, but for the right to unmake reality itself. Magic in the Elder Scrolls isn't an innate gift, but the manipulation of external energy. The source of magic is Aetherius, the plane of pure energy and immortality, home of the Aedra. When Lorkhan was creating Mundus, one of the most powerful spirits, Magnus, the architect, realized the deception and bailed on the project at the last second. As he fled, he tore a hole in the shell of Mundus, creating the sun. His followers, the Magna-G, followed him, ripping smaller holes, the stars. Through these punctures, raw creative energy, magicka, flows into the world in a constant stream. A mage is someone who has learned to focus and shape this flow using their will and knowledge. Standard magic is divided into several schools: destruction, restoration, alteration, illusion, conjuration, and mysticism, which was later phased out. However, there are more fundamental, dangerous ways to affect reality. They are known collectively as tonal architecture, the art of altering reality by manipulating its foundational music or tones. The practice of the Nords. By using the dragon language, they can speak words of power that don't describe reality, they command it to change. The shout doesn't create a sound wave, it tells the world, push, and the world obeys. The vanished race of Dwemer approached this scientifically. They built resonators and machines that could tune into the tones of the earth bones, allowing them to alter physical laws. Their greatest achievement was the Numidium, a giant golem powered by the heart of Lorkhan that could literally erase timelines. Sword singing, the art of the Red Guards. The greatest masters of this path could create a shahai, or spirit sword, from their own soul. Legends say they used this art to shatter their home continent of Yokuda. The price for such manipulations is high. A deep understanding of reality's nature can lead to zero-summing. This explains why most mages stick to simple fireballs instead of trying to rewrite the laws of the universe. But the crown jewel of it all is Chim. It is the highest state of enlightenment and the ultimate paradox. Imagine you're a character in a book, and suddenly you realize it. You understand that you, your thoughts, your pain, it's all just part of someone else's dream. 99.9% of souls at that moment simply vanish. That's zero-summing. The realization of your own non-existence erases you. But Chim is when, having realized your own illusory nature, you scream back at the dreamer, "And yet I am." It's an act of supreme ego and love, asserting your I with such force that you become the dreamer's equal within their own dream. You become a god. You can rewrite reality as you see fit. 2 mortals are confirmed to have achieved this: Vivek, the warrior poet god of the Dunmer, and Tiber Septim, the man who became the god, Talos. Their existence is a constant balancing act on a razor's edge between divinity and oblivion. Talos is so important to humans not just because he was a great emperor, he is proof that mortal will can become universal law. And that's precisely why the Thalmor are so desperate to erase him from memory. Because if you can erase the belief in a god born of man, you can weaken the very reality he helps hold together. The continent of Tamriel is the main stage. It's divided into 9 provinces, each with its own unique culture, climate, and dominant race. Cyrodiil, the heartland of the Empire and home of the Imperials, a green, temperate land of forests and rivers, home to the Imperial City, built around the White Gold Tower, a cultural and political melting pot. Skyrim, the harsh, frozen, and mountainous northern province, home of the Nords, a land of ancient ruins, dragons, and civil war, believed to be where humans first arrived in Tamriel. High Rock, home of the Bretons, a hilly land dotted with countless petty kingdoms, constantly warring with one another. Think feudal Europe with more magic and political backstabbing, home to the Adamantine Tower. Hammerfell, a vast, arid desert in the west, home of the Red Guards, a culture of warriors, seafarers, and mercenaries with a fierce code of honor. Somerset Isles, an idyllic archipelago in the southwest, home of the Altmer, or High Elves, the center of elven civilization, magic, and, in recent eras, the expansionist politics of the Aldmeri Dominion. Valenwood, an impenetrable jungle in the south, home of the Bosmer, or Wood Elves. Their society is bound by the Green Pact, a prohibition against harming any plant life in the forest. Elsewhere, a hot land of deserts and jungles to the south, home of the Khajiit, divided into two kingdoms, Anaquina and Palatine. Their culture is deeply tied to the cycles of the moons. Black Marsh, a toxic, impassable swampland in the southeast, home of the Argonians, an alien land hostile to all but its native inhabitants, who are connected to the sentient hist trees. Morrowind, an ash-blasted, volcanic land in the northeast, home of the Dunmer, or Dark Elves, a bizarre and hostile world of mushroom forests and lava flows, with a unique religion based on worshipping living gods, the Tribunal, and their ancestors. Many believe Tamriel is the entire world of the Elder Scrolls. It is not. There are three levels of reality. Mundus, the mortal plane created by Lorkhan, where time, death, and limits exist. Nirn, a planet within Mundus, like Earth, with oceans and continents. Tamriel, just one continent on Nirn, where most games take place. Beyond Tamriel lie distant lands, known mostly from legends. Akavir, a war-ravaged continent where humans nearly vanished. Atmora, Pyandona, and Lig, names in old chronicles, rarely reached and poorly understood. Yakuta, the sunken homeland of the Redguards, destroyed by catastrophe or divine force. The Redguards do not explain what happened. They simply keep training with the sword. To understand what's happening in Skyrim or Oblivion, you need to get your head around the fundamental schism between men and elves. The elves, or Mare, believe they are the descendants of gods who were tricked and trapped in mortal bodies. For them, this world, Mundus, is a tragedy. It's a cage of pain and death that has cut them off from eternity. Their ultimate goal is to break this cage and return to a state of pure energy. Men believe the exact opposite. For them, mortal life is a sacred trial, a chance to become stronger, to surpass themselves, and perhaps even to surpass the gods. Let's break down who's who in this divine war. The Elven block, pride and curses. Let's start with those who hate this world the most. Altmer, High Elves. The residents of the Somerset Isles. They are obsessed with their divine ancestry. Imagine a nation with a collective superiority complex. They are currently ruled by the Thalmor, radicals who want to literally unexist the world. Their goal is to destroy the towers, the magical pins holding reality together, and to ban the worship of Talos, a man who became a god. Why? Because if a man can become a god, their entire theory of elven uniqueness crumbles. Bosmer, Wood Elves, neighbors of the High Elves, living in the forests of Valenwood. They cut a magical deal with the forest, the Green Pact. They are forbidden from harming plants, at all. They don't cut down trees or eat fruits and vegetables. They build their homes from bone and stone and eat only meat. Dunmer, Dark Elves, the most tragic of the bunch. They were once golden-skinned elves, but they betrayed their goddess Azura, and she cursed them. Their skin turned gray like the ash of their volcanoes, and their eyes red like fire. They worship Daedra, demonic princes, and the spirits of their ancestors, not the common gods. For centuries, they kept the beast folk as slaves, considering them little more than animals. They are a grim people, living on ash and hatred for all outsiders. The human block, steel and faith. On the other side of the ring are the humans, the defenders of this world. Nords, the inhabitants of Skyrim, grim northerners. For them, life is an endless battle. They believe that only by dying with a sword in hand can one reach Sovngarde, their version of Valhalla. Their chief hero is the god Shor, the very creator god the elves see as the devil. Nords despise magic, viewing it as a crutch for the weak and the elves, and rely on brute force and the power of their voice, the Thu'um. Imperials. The people of the Central Province, Cyrodiil. They are the Romans of this world. They aren't the strongest warriors or the best mages, but they are brilliant organizers. Their superpower is diplomacy and discipline. Historically, it was the Imperials who united the continent, trying to bring all races under a single law. They believe in order and commerce. Bretons, the inhabitants of High Rock. They are a unique hybrid. Their veins carry the blood of both men and elves. This heritage makes them the best battle mages among humanity. But politically, their land is a quilt of petty kingdoms, constantly weaving intrigues worthy of Game of Thrones. Red Guards, desert warriors from Hammerfell. They came from another continent and stand apart from the others. Red Guards are the finest swordsmen in history. They have a legendary technique called the Shahai, the ability to create a sword from pure spiritual energy. They despise necromancy and illusion magic, considering them dishonorable. The Outcasts and Mysteries, the ones who drew the short straw. Finally, the races that don't fit neatly into the main conflict. Orsimer, orcs. They are called the pariah elves. According to legend, their elven hero god was swallowed by the demon Boethia, digested, and excreted. Thus was born Malakath, the god of outcasts, and his elves were transformed into the green, tusked orcs. The whole world hates them, seeing them as barbarians, even though orcs are the finest smiths in Tamriel and live by a strict code of honor. Dwemer, deep elves, the greatest mystery. They were atheistic technocrats. They lived underground, built steam-powered robots, and despised the gods, whom they saw as merely powerful mages. They tried to build their own mechanical god, the Numidium, to challenge the heavens. But at the moment of its activation, the entire Dwemer race, every man, woman, and child, instantly vanished from reality. Only their empty cities and automatons remain. Argonians, the lizard folk from the toxic swamps of Blackmarsh, the strangest race of all. Their souls and bodies are managed by the Hist, sentient, spore-producing trees. The Hist can alter Argonian physiology on a whim. Need to breathe underwater? Done. Need to become a killing machine? Easy. During the Oblivion Crisis, the Hist made the Argonians so ferociously effective that they invaded Hell itself, forcing the demons to slam the gates shut in a panic. Khajiit, the catfolk from the deserts of Elsewhere. Their main gimmick is their dependence on the phases of the moons. A Khajiit born on a full moon will look almost human. One born on a new moon might be a sentient house cat, an Alfiq, who casts spells with its paws. And there are breeds the size of mammoths. Their entire culture revolves around moon sugar, a drug that, for them, is a sacred sacrament that allows them to see hidden truths. Tamriel's history is divided into eras. We are living in the most tense moment of the Fourth Era. Here's how the world got here. End of the First Era, War of the First Council. A conflict between the Chimer, Proto-Dunmer, and the Dwemer in Morrowind. It ended with the disappearance of the Dwemer and the ascension of the Tribunal, Vivek, Almalexia, Sotha-Sil, to godhood using the heart of Lorkhan. This event defined Morrowind's history for thousands of years. End of the Second Era, the rise of Tiber Septim. General Tiber Septim, using the power of the Thu'um and a rebuilt Dwemer golem, the Numidium, conquered all of Tamriel, founding the Third Empire. After his death, he ascended to become the ninth god, Talos. For men, this was proof of their philosophy. A mortal can become a god. For elves, it was heresy and a defilement of the pantheon. End of the Third Era, the Oblivion Crisis. The last heir of the Septim dynasty was assassinated, which shattered the barrier between Mundus and Oblivion. The Daedric Prince of Destruction, Mehrunes Dagon, invaded Tamriel. The world was saved by the sacrifice of Martin Septim, who transformed into an avatar of Akatosh and banished Dagon. But the cost was high. The dynasty was broken, the Amulet of Kings was destroyed, and the empire lost its divine legitimacy. The Fourth Era, the Great War and the current standoff. Taking advantage of the empire's weakness, a reborn Aldmeri Dominion launched an all-out war. The empire, exhausted and weakened, was defeated and forced to sign the White Gold Concordat, a humiliating treaty whose main condition was the ban on Talos worship. This was the last straw for Skyrim, where Talos, as the Nord Tiber Septim, is the chief deity. This led directly to the civil war between the Imperial Legions and the Stormcloaks, who are fighting for independence and the right to worship their god. The Elder Scrolls isn't a game about saving the world, it's about understanding it. It asks questions with no easy answers. What is more valuable, freedom or order? A painful truth or a comforting lie? Is our existence a gift or a curse?